Be brave, live bold. Your path to unstoppable confidence. Written by Ambassador Cabe Westbrook. Published by Audiobook Vibes. Introduction: The Call to Courage. Defining bravery in a modern context. Bravery has long been associated with grand acts of heroism. A soldier defending their comrades, a firefighter running into a burning building, or an activist standing up against oppression. While these examples undoubtedly embody courage, the modern context of bravery extends far beyond physical acts of valor. In today's complex, fast-paced, and interconnected world, bravery often resides in quieter, more personal realms, yet its impact is no less profound. At its core, bravery in the modern era is about confronting fear, uncertainty, and discomfort in pursuit of a meaningful life. It's about making choices that align with one's values, even when those choices are difficult or unpopular. Unlike the traditional image of fearlessness, modern bravery acknowledges the presence of fear and chooses to act anyway. Fear, after all, is an integral part of being human. It signals potential danger, but can also paralyze us, keeping us from achieving our full potential. Modern bravery is about discerning when fear is an ally and when it becomes an obstacle to overcome. The challenges of the modern world require a new kind of courage. Today, bravery might mean speaking up in a workplace meeting despite the fear of judgment, or quitting a stable but unfulfilling job to pursue a passion. It could be found in the courage to face a mental health issue head-on, seeking therapy or support despite societal stigma. It's the bravery of showing vulnerability in relationships, of apologizing when wrong, or of standing firm in one's beliefs when pressured to conform. The connection between courage and confidence. Courage and confidence are often viewed as distinct qualities, but they are deeply intertwined, each reinforcing and amplifying the other. Courage is the ability to act despite fear, while confidence is the belief in one's abilities. Together, they create a powerful dynamic that enables individuals to face challenges, embrace opportunities, and live boldly. At its foundation, courage serves as the catalyst for confidence. When we take courageous actions, we step into unfamiliar or uncomfortable situations, confronting our fears head-on. Each act of bravery, no matter how small, becomes a building block for confidence. For example, the first time someone speaks up in a meeting, they might feel a rush of anxiety. However, once they do it and realize that their input was valuable, their confidence grows. This newfound assurance makes it easier to act courageously the next time, creating a positive cycle of growth. Confidence, in turn, fuels courage. A confident person is more likely to take risks, try new things, and face challenges with determination. When you believe in your ability to handle what comes your way, fear loses its grip. For instance, someone who is confident in their problem-solving skills will approach challenges with a sense of curiosity and determination rather than hesitation or dread. This self-assured mindset encourages courageous actions, further strengthening confidence. The interplay between courage and confidence is evident in many aspects of life. In personal relationships, it takes courage to be vulnerable and share your true feelings. When that vulnerability is met with understanding and acceptance, confidence in the relationship grows, making future acts of courage easier. In professional settings, tackling a difficult project or taking on a leadership role requires courage. Successfully navigating these challenges bolsters confidence, paving the way for greater achievements. Addressing common fears that hold people back. Fear is a universal human experience, rooted in our biological and psychological makeup. It is a natural response to perceived threats, designed to protect us from harm. However, in the modern world, fear often extends beyond physical danger to encompass emotional, social, and existential concerns. While fear can serve a protective purpose, it frequently becomes a barrier, preventing individuals from reaching their full potential and living boldly. One of the most common fears is the fear of failure. This fear is deeply ingrained in societal and cultural norms that equate success with worthiness. From a young age, people are conditioned to avoid mistakes and view failure as a sign of inadequacy. As a result, they become risk-averse, hesitant to pursue new opportunities or tackle challenges. The fear of failure often leads to a cycle of inaction, where individuals remain stuck in their comfort zones, unwilling to take steps that could lead to personal growth. Closely related is the fear of rejection. Humans are social creatures, and a sense of belonging is fundamental to our well-being. The fear of being judged, criticized, or excluded can be paralyzing. It manifests in various ways: avoiding public speaking, hesitating to share opinions, or refraining from forming new relationships. The fear of rejection not only limits interpersonal connections, but also stifles self-expression and authenticity. Another prevalent fear is the fear of uncertainty. In a world where predictability is often equated with security, venturing into the unknown can feel overwhelming. Whether it's changing careers, moving to a new city, or starting a business, uncertainty triggers anxiety about potential outcomes. This fear keeps many people clinging to the familiar, even when it no longer serves them, robbing them of opportunities to explore and grow. The fear of inadequacy is another significant barrier. This fear stems from self-doubt and the belief that one is not good enough, smart enough, or capable enough to succeed. It's fueled by comparison, particularly in the age of social media, where curated images of success and perfection are constantly on display. The fear of inadequacy can lead to imposter syndrome, a persistent feeling of being unqualified. Chapter 1. Understanding Fear. Fear is one of the most profound and universal human emotions. It shapes our decisions, fuels our imaginations, and can either protect or paralyze us. From an evolutionary perspective, fear has been crucial for survival. The psychology of fear, why we feel it and how it works. Fear is a fundamental part of the human experience. For millennia, our ancestors relied on it to stay alive. When a rustle in the bushes might have signaled a predator, fear prompted a vigilant, life-preserving response. The evolutionary roots of fear. From an evolutionary standpoint, fear served as an adaptive response that enabled humans to quickly detect and respond to threats. Early humans who were more attuned to potential dangers, such as predators, natural disasters, or hostile tribes, were more likely to survive and pass on their genes. This predisposition toward vigilance and caution is partly why our fight-or-flight reaction is so deeply ingrained. The brain's fear circuitry. At the center of our fear response lies the amygdala, a small, almond-shaped cluster of neurons in the brain's medial temporal lobe. The amygdala is responsible for processing emotional reactions, especially fear and anxiety. When we perceive a potential threat, real or imagined, the amygdala assesses the situation and can trigger the sympathetic nervous system to initiate the fight-or-flight response. Perception versus reality. One of the distinguishing features of human fear is our capacity for imagination. Unlike other animals, we can anticipate future scenarios and experience fear in response to mere possibilities. This ability to imagine worst-case outcomes can serve a protective function, helping us plan and prepare. But it can also lead to chronic anxiety and irrational fears. The role of memory. Memory and fear are closely linked. Our brain's hippocampus stores contextual details around traumatic or scary events, which can be triggered by sights, sounds, or even subtle reminders. For instance, the smell of smoke might instantly transport someone back to a traumatic fire experience, reigniting fear as if it were happening again. Adaptive versus maladaptive fear mechanisms. It's important to understand that fear, in its essence, is neutral. It becomes positive or negative depending on how it aligns with our goals and well-being. Adaptive fear mechanisms are those that genuinely protect us, like jumping back from a snake in the grass or slowing down when driving in hazardous conditions. Differentiating between healthy and limiting fears. Now that we've examined the roots and mechanisms of fear, we turn to a crucial question. When is fear an ally, and when does it become our captor? In other words, how do we distinguish between healthy fears that protect us and limiting fears that impede our growth? Recognizing the difference can help us harness fear's beneficial aspects while preventing it from holding us back. What is healthy fear? Healthy fear is proportionate to the actual level of threat or risk at hand. It's your body's natural alarm system, alerting you to danger so you can take necessary precautions. For example, feeling apprehensive about driving on an icy road can prompt you to drive more slowly or postpone your trip until conditions improve. This kind of fear is adaptive. It serves a constructive purpose by guiding you away from reckless decisions and helping you stay safe. Characteristics of healthy fear. Proportional response. The intensity of fear matches the actual risk. You might feel nervous before a medical test, but it doesn't cause you to avoid going to the doctor altogether. Temporary state. Healthy fear dissipates or significantly diminishes after you address the concern. Motivational aspect. It leads to proactive behaviors such as taking safety measures, seeking more information, or honing your skills. Clarity. It clarifies potential dangers and encourages preparedness without overwhelming you. When fear becomes limiting. Limiting fear, on the other hand, occurs when our perception of threat is exaggerated or persists long after any real danger has passed. This form of fear can become a chronic condition, impacting our choices, relationships, and overall quality of life. It might lead to avoidance behaviors, procrastination, or a self-fulfilling cycle of dread and inaction. The paralyzing effect of limiting fear. Limiting fears can be especially pernicious because they create self-imposed barriers. If you're terrified of failing in a new business venture, you might never take the first step, depriving yourself of the lessons and potential success you could gain. This paralysis often leads to regret and a sense of stagnation. The importance of balance. A life with no fear at all would be reckless, whereas a life dominated by fear is stifling. Striking a balance between these extremes is essential for well-being. Healthy fear can drive preparedness, boost performance, as a mild dose of adrenaline can be beneficial, and keep us grounded in realistic assessments of risk. It serves as a guardrail that prevents us from veering into harm. Limiting fear, however, erects tall walls around us, cutting us off from opportunities and experiences that foster personal growth. How to transform limiting fear into healthy fear. Awareness and labeling. The first step is recognizing that a fear is disproportionate. Write down the fear, identify its triggers, and note the physical or emotional responses it elicits. Rational assessment. Evaluate the realistic likelihood of the feared outcome. What evidence do you have that supports or contradicts your fear? Sometimes, simply laying out the facts can illuminate how irrational a fear might be. Gradual exposure. Instead of diving headfirst into terrifying situations, consider small, manageable steps. If you fear public speaking, start by practicing in front of a mirror, then friends, and gradually scale up. Seek support. A mentor, coach, or therapist can provide guidance, reassurance, and accountability. Sharing your fears with someone who understands can reduce their intensity. Challenge negative beliefs. Whenever a limiting thought arises, "I'll fail," "I'm not good enough," counter it with a more objective or hopeful perspective. Embrace learning. View each confrontation with fear as a learning experience rather than a test of your worth. Whether you succeed or stumble, you gain valuable insights. Identifying limiting fear. Avoidance of growth opportunities. You consistently avoid situations that could lead to personal or professional development. Networking events, career changes, or even trying a new hobby. Chronic worry. The fear becomes a pervasive undercurrent, following you across different areas of life. Physical symptoms. Persistent stress can lead to headaches, stomach issues, insomnia, or muscle tension. Distorted thinking. You might engage in catastrophic thinking, assuming the worst possible outcome at every turn. Chapter 2. Building a brave mindset. Fear, when left unexamined, can form a mental stronghold that influences everything from our day-to-day decision-making to our most deeply held beliefs about ourselves. The inner dialogue that shapes our reality. At the heart of every person's mental life is a continuous internal commentary. Sometimes this commentary is constructive, offering reassurance and encouragement. Other times, it can be critical, harsh, or even cruel, especially when fear arises. This ongoing internal chatter is what psychologists often refer to as self-talk. Recognizing negative self-talk. You can't change what you don't notice. The first step, then, is learning to recognize your habitual thought patterns, especially those that arise when fear enters the picture. Here are some common forms of negative self-talk. Catastrophizing. Leaping to the worst possible outcome. I'll be so nervous during the interview that I'll forget every answer, embarrass myself, and never find a job. Labeling. Using harsh judgments about yourself or the situation. I'm such a coward. Black and white thinking. Viewing outcomes as either total success or total failure, with no middle ground. If I mess up even once, I'll prove I'm incapable. Mind reading or fortune telling. Assuming you know how events will unfold or how others will perceive you. Everyone in the audience will think I'm incompetent. Challenging and replacing negative thoughts. Once you identify a negative thought, the next step is to challenge it. Ask yourself, what evidence supports this thought? If you believe you'll fail a presentation, list tangible reasons you might succeed. You've done research, practiced your points, and even asked for feedback. What evidence contradicts this thought? Perhaps you've successfully presented before, or you've overcome similar fears in other contexts. Is there a more balanced perspective? Even if you make a mistake, it doesn't negate the entire presentation. People are generally more forgiving and less critical of our errors than we imagine. Reframing fear as opportunity. Fear often arises because we perceive a threat, something that could harm our well-being, pride, or sense of identity. But fear can also be reframed as an opportunity to grow. Take, for example, the fear of networking at a big conference. The negative frame might be, I'm terrible at meeting new people, and everyone will see how awkward I am. A reframed perspective could be, I feel nervous because this is unfamiliar territory, but it's also a chance to learn new communication skills and expand my professional circle. The role of visualization. Visualization is another powerful tool for reframing fear. Before entering a situation that scares you, close your eyes and vividly imagine yourself succeeding. Walk through the scenario step by step, engaging all your senses. How does your voice sound? What does your posture look like? How do others react? Cultivating resilience through mindset shifts. Understanding resilience. Resilience is often described as the ability to bounce back from adversity. However, true resilience goes beyond merely recovering to a baseline state. It involves growing through challenges. Think of resilience as emotional elasticity that allows you to bend in the face of pressure without breaking. Then stand up taller and stronger than before. Fixed mindset versus growth mindset. A pivotal concept in resilience research, popularized by psychologist Carol Dweck, is the distinction between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. Fixed mindset. People with a fixed mindset tend to believe their abilities and intelligence are static. They see mistakes as evidence of personal inadequacy and often avoid challenges that might expose their flaws. Growth mindset. Those with a growth mindset view abilities as malleable. They see challenges as learning opportunities and mistakes as part of the path toward improvement. When fear arises, perhaps fear of failure or judgment, a fixed mindset might say, I'm just not good at this. I should avoid trying. A growth mindset reframes it as, I may not be good at this yet, but I can learn and grow from the experience. Cultivating a growth mindset lays a strong foundation for resilience because it encourages persistence in the face of obstacles rather than retreat. The attitude of realistic optimism. Optimism is another key component of resilience, but not the naive sort that insists everything will always turn out perfectly. Realistic optimism involves acknowledging difficulties while maintaining faith in your capacity to handle them. It balances hope with pragmatism. The power of community and support. Mindset shifts are often easier to maintain when you're surrounded by individuals who embody resilience. Positive social networks serve as a mirror, reflecting back to you possibilities for handling fear and adversity. Whether you connect with mentors, supportive friends, or professional communities, having people in your corner who share growth-oriented perspectives can accelerate your own mindset transformation. Mindfulness and emotional regulation. Resilience also relies on your ability to regulate intense emotions. Practices like mindfulness meditation, breath work, and journaling can help you stay centered in the midst of fear or disappointment. Mindfulness trains you to observe your emotional states without immediately reacting, creating a mental pause that allows you to choose a more resilient response. Celebrating milestones and progress. Resilience isn't cultivated in a single grand moment of triumph. It's built incrementally through daily choices and small victories. Recognizing these milestones is critical. Perhaps you handled a difficult conversation at work with composure, or you ventured out to meet new people despite anxiety. Each instance of bravery, no matter how modest, is evidence that you're growing stronger and more adaptable. Integrating resilience into your brave mindset. When combined with positive self-talk, resilience forms the backbone of a brave mindset. Positive self-talk ensures you approach challenges with an empowering narrative, while resilience ensures you keep going when difficulties arise. Together, they transform fear from a stopping point into a signpost directing you toward meaningful growth. Chapter 3. Taking small steps towards big bravery. Bravery is often portrayed as a grand, dramatic act, leaping into danger to save someone else or making a life-altering decision on a whim. While these headline-grabbing moments of heroism certainly require courage, everyday bravery is more commonly shaped through smaller, consistent actions that over time build a powerful momentum. Why small, consistent actions matter. The myth of the big leap. In popular culture, heroic acts are often larger than life. A firefighter braving flames to save a child, or an entrepreneur risking everything to launch a bold new venture. Such stories, though inspiring, can inadvertently create a misconception that courage is only valid when it manifests in massive, all-or-nothing leaps. This myth can paralyze us when we face our own fears, as we may feel our own smaller acts of bravery pale in comparison. Cumulative effect. The power of compound growth. When you invest money in a savings account, even tiny deposits grow significantly due to compound interest. In a similar way, each small step you take towards bravery compounds over time. The first time you do something new, like striking up a conversation with a stranger, it feels uncomfortable. The second time, it's slightly easier. By the 10th time, you might not even think twice. Each act builds on the last, gradually replacing fear with familiarity, skill, and confidence, reducing overwhelm and resistance. Another significant benefit of starting small is reducing the overwhelming dread that can arise when you consider a big leap. If your ultimate goal is to give a speech to an audience of 500 people, imagining that scenario in its entirety can be paralyzing. But if you break the process down into incremental steps, like practicing a 1-minute talk alone in front of a mirror, then speaking for 5 minutes in a small group, each action becomes more approachable. Building sustainable habits. Bravery, much like any valuable trait, benefits from habits that are regularly reinforced. Think of it as an internal muscle that needs routine exercise. If you make bold moves only sporadically, say once every 6 months, you don't give yourself enough practice to integrate and normalize that sense of courageous action. Regular, smaller acts of bravery keep the muscle engaged, ensuring your comfort zone expands naturally. Celebrating small wins. In addition to mitigating overwhelm, taking small steps allows you to celebrate frequent wins, fueling a sense of accomplishment. These wins can be as basic as reaching out to a colleague you've never spoken to or making a small presentation during a team meeting. Embracing the slow and steady transformation. Ultimately, the significance of small, consistent actions lies in their ability to transform you from within. They build the mindset of someone who regularly faces challenges, rather than someone who only occasionally musters courage in dire situations. This shift from event-based bravery to lifestyle-based bravery is where the real power lies. Practical exercises to step out of your comfort zone. Taking small steps toward big bravery isn't just a concept. It's a skill you develop through practice. 1. The 5% push strategy. Purpose. Make consistent progress without overwhelming yourself. Identify your current threshold. Pick a goal or situation that intimidates you, perhaps speaking up in meetings, trying a new hobby, or striking up conversations with strangers. Rate your current comfort level on a scale from 1 to 10, with 10 being completely comfortable. Choose a 5% increase. Ask yourself, what's 5% beyond my current comfort level? The idea is to find a small step that stretches you slightly, but doesn't feel impossible. If your comfort level is at 3, aim for a challenge that might register around a 4. Take action. Perform this 5% push regularly, daily or weekly. Evaluate and adjust. After each attempt, reflect on how it went. What did you learn? Were you able to handle it better than expected? Adjust as needed, then proceed with another 5% push. 2. Micro-challenges in everyday life. Purpose. Integrate small moments of bravery into daily routines. Routine disruption. Pick a familiar routine, like your daily commute, and introduce a small change. For instance, take a slightly different route or engage in a brief conversation with a fellow commuter. Overcoming tiny discomforts fosters a mindset of openness to new experiences. Conversation starters. Challenge yourself to make a brief comment to someone you encounter during the day, a barista, a colleague in the elevator, or a neighbor. Even if it's a simple, "I love that book you're reading," each mini interaction chips away at social anxiety. Daily yes. Say yes to one opportunity or request you typically avoid, like a lunch invitation or a volunteer sign-up. By doing this once a day or once a week, you accumulate small experiences that reaffirm your ability to handle new situations. 3. The Bold 30-Day Challenge. Purpose. Commit to daily acts of courage over a set period for sustained growth. Define your challenge. Decide on a domain to target: social fears, career goals, or personal growth. List 30 incremental tasks. Brainstorm tasks ranging from very simple to moderately challenging. For example, day 1 could be introducing yourself to a new colleague, while day 15 might be asking for feedback from your boss, and day 30 could be volunteering to lead a small team project. Document your progress. Keep track of what you do each day. Journaling your experiences allows you to observe patterns, note improvements, and maintain momentum. Reward milestones. Celebrate every 5 days or so with a small reward, something meaningful but not excessive. This positive reinforcement keeps motivation high. From small steps to significant growth. The ultimate aim of these exercises is not to eliminate fear entirely. That's neither possible nor even desirable, as fear can be a valuable teacher and protector. Rather, the goal is to familiarize yourself with the sensation of stepping into new territory. The more you do so, the less intimidating it becomes. Eventually, you'll find yourself willingly seeking out challenges that once seemed impossible, fueled by the confidence that you've nurtured through. Chapter 4. The Role of Vulnerability in Courage. Fear and vulnerability often go hand in hand. We feel exposed when we confront the unknown or reveal personal truths that might invite judgment. Yet, vulnerability is also deeply connected to courage. Understanding vulnerability as a strength. Shifting the narrative around vulnerability. Society often portrays vulnerability as a frailty, something to hide or overcome. In reality, vulnerability underpins the most courageous acts you can undertake, whether that's speaking up for what you believe in, admitting mistakes, or reaching out for help. The link between vulnerability and growth. Personal growth often comes from facing challenges head-on. Vulnerability is integral to this process. When you hold back, afraid of being judged or making mistakes, you also hold yourself back from new lessons and possibilities. Think of vulnerability like a doorway. By passing through it, you gain access to deeper experiences and insights you'd never reach if you stayed safely behind the walls of self-protection. Myth number 1. Vulnerability is oversharing. Vulnerability doesn't equate to spilling every detail of your life to strangers. It's about selectively revealing truths that matter to you. Your hopes, fears, passions, or struggles in a context-appropriate manner. You can be vulnerable in a single sentence or a private moment with someone you trust. The key is honesty and intentionality, not a constant stream of personal disclosures. Myth number 2. Being vulnerable makes me look weak. On the contrary, vulnerability often reads as authenticity and courage. People tend to trust those who admit their limitations or share genuine feelings. Such admissions communicate self-awareness and openness, attributes that are highly respected in both personal and professional settings. Ironically, trying too hard to appear strong can come across as rigid or inauthentic, undermining real confidence. Myth number 3. Vulnerability is for personal relationships only. While vulnerability is crucial in close friendships, family bonds, and romantic partnerships, it also has a place in leadership and work environments. Thoughtful vulnerability can foster greater team cohesion, encourage creative collaboration, and build trust. Leaders who admit they don't have all the answers often inspire more respect and innovative thinking in their teams than those who pretend infallibility. The courage in saying, "I don't know." One of the simplest yet most challenging expressions of vulnerability is admitting what you don't know. In many cultures, there's pressure to appear knowledgeable and competent at all times. Emotional vulnerability and self-compassion. Emotional vulnerability involves acknowledging your feelings rather than suppressing or denying them. This could mean saying, "I'm feeling anxious about this project," or "I'm saddened by our recent conflict." Such admissions take immense bravery because they expose the rawness beneath your defenses. The biological aspect of vulnerability. From a biological standpoint, vulnerability can trigger a stress response. Fear of judgment or rejection can activate your body's fight-or-flight mechanism. How vulnerability strengthens resilience. When you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you hone your ability to bounce back from setbacks. Why? Because resilience is built on honest assessments of where you stand and what you need. How sharing your authentic self fosters bravery. Vulnerability sets the stage for courage, but it's through the active sharing of your authentic self that bravery truly blossoms. Authenticity means being true to your values, preferences, and emotional states, rather than masking who you are to fit external expectations. Authenticity as a catalyst for personal growth. When you share who you truly are, you open up pathways for deeper self-understanding. You can no longer hide behind the safety net of conformity or pretense. This level of honesty pushes you to align your actions with your beliefs, fostering integrity and self-respect. Over time, authenticity becomes less of a conscious effort and more of a natural expression of your identity, leading to increased self-esteem. Consistently behaving in alignment with your true feelings and values strengthens your sense of self-worth. Clarity in decision-making. Knowing your core principles makes it easier to navigate complex choices. Your decisions reflect who you are, not what you believe others want. Freedom from approval-seeking. While everyone enjoys validation, authenticity reduces the need for external approval. You feel confident in your truth, regardless of shifting opinions. The risk of rejection and why it's worth it. Naturally, sharing your authentic self involves risk. People might disagree with your viewpoints or misunderstand your intentions. In some cases, relationships could change or even end when you reveal beliefs or facets of yourself that others disapprove of. Building courage through self-disclosure. To share your authentic self consistently, start with manageable acts of self-disclosure. Like building muscle at the gym, bravery grows with repeated exercise. Step 1. Self-reflection. Identify an aspect of yourself you tend to hide. It could be an opinion, a personal struggle, or a quirk you worry others might judge. Step 2. Choose a safe environment. Begin by sharing with someone who has shown understanding in the past. A supportive friend or mentor can offer reassurance and constructive feedback. Step 3. Observe and reflect. After opening up, notice how it feels. Were you relieved, anxious, or empowered? How did the other person respond? This feedback helps guide future disclosures. Step 4. Gradually expand. Once comfortable in one setting, challenge yourself to share that same piece of authenticity in a slightly more public context, such as a broader peer group, a community forum, or a professional setting, if relevant. Authenticity versus oversharing. A critical nuance in this discussion is learning to differentiate authenticity from oversharing. Authenticity focuses on sharing the parts of you that reflect your genuine feelings, struggles, or desires with the intention of growing or connecting, whereas oversharing can stem from a need for validation or a lack of boundaries. It's essential to gauge both your comfort and the context. What is the purpose of your disclosure? Does it serve a constructive goal, such as mutual understanding or seeking support? Sustaining an authentic life. Living authentically is an ongoing process rather than a one-time decision. You may find it easier to be open in certain spheres of life while still navigating layers of self-protection in others. That's normal. Aim for gradual integration. Chapter 5. Embracing Risk and Uncertainty. Courage fundamentally involves moving beyond our comfort zones, daring to face the unknown, and taking bold steps even when the outcome is uncertain. Yet, risk and uncertainty can be deeply unsettling. They trigger our fears of losing control, failing, or being exposed. Why courage requires stepping into the unknown. The nature of risk and uncertainty. Risk is generally understood as the potential for an undesirable outcome, be it financial loss, emotional pain, or social disapproval. Uncertainty, on the other hand, refers to not knowing what could happen at all. In everyday life, these two elements often overlap. A new job opportunity could mean higher pay, or it could lead to disappointment. An important conversation might foster deeper understanding or cause conflict. The illusion of certainty. One of the paradoxes of modern life is that we cling to routines and structures to feel safe, but genuine, 100% certainty is a myth. Even the most carefully planned paths can encounter unforeseen obstacles. A sudden market shift, a health crisis, or an unexpected twist of fate. The role of fear in driving courage. Fear isn't the enemy, complacency is. While fear's natural function is to protect us from harm, it can also trap us if we allow it to overrule our aspirations. Courage involves recognizing fear's presence and respecting its warnings, yet choosing to move forward anyway. In many cases, fear simply signals that you're about to do something meaningful. The challenge lies in discerning which fears are valid and which ones are overblown by imagination or past conditioning. The growth edge. Psychologists often describe the growth edge as the point where ability and difficulty intersect just enough to propel you forward without overwhelming you. Trust as a counterbalance to uncertainty. Embracing risk doesn't mean recklessness. Trust in yourself, in your support network, and in your capacity to learn from setbacks serves as a vital counterbalance. When you cultivate self-trust, you acknowledge that even if the outcome isn't favorable, you possess the resilience to adapt and bounce back. Trusting your community or team can similarly provide a safety net, encouraging you to take bold steps because you know you won't face the fallout alone. Overcoming the myth of right timing. A common barrier to embracing risk is waiting for the perfect time. While timing and preparedness do matter, the danger lies in using perfection as an excuse for perpetual inaction. Conditions are rarely flawless. Often, what stops us isn't a genuine lack of readiness, but a fear-driven reluctance to act without guaranteed success. Strategies for making bold decisions with clarity. Embracing risk and uncertainty doesn't mean rushing into decisions haphazardly. True courage strikes a balance. It acknowledges the inherent unpredictability of life while employing thoughtful strategies to navigate that unpredictability. 1. Define your decision-making criteria. Bold doesn't mean random. Before taking on a risky decision, get clear on what matters most to you. Ask, what are my core values? E.g., honesty, creativity, family, financial independence. How does this decision align with those values? What are my short and long-term goals? By anchoring your choices in your deeper beliefs and ambitions, you reduce the likelihood of veering off course. For instance, if you value independence and innovation, a risky entrepreneurial venture might make sense. If you prioritize stability and community, a decision that endangers those elements could be reconsidered or at least approached with more caution. Clarity through alignment. When a decision aligns well with your values and goals, it's easier to commit wholeheartedly, even if there's risk involved. On the flip side, if a choice conflicts with core aspects of who you are, you'll feel internal resistance that may complicate success. 2. Weigh risks and rewards intentionally. While overthinking can paralyze action, doing some form of risk-reward analysis can help you move forward intelligently. The key is intention rather than endless rumination. 3. Use the pilot test approach. A pilot test is a small-scale trial before a full commitment. By starting with a limited version of your big idea, you gain valuable insights without exposing yourself to maximum risk. 4. Gather diverse perspectives. Humans are prone to confirmation bias, the tendency to favor information that supports what we already believe. Seeking out multiple viewpoints disrupts this bias. 5. Practice fear setting. Popularized by author Tim Ferriss, fear setting involves clearly defining your fears rather than letting them loom as vague anxieties. The process looks like this. Define. Write down your fear in specific terms, e.g., I'm afraid of running out of money if this fails. Prevent. Brainstorm ways to reduce the likelihood of that fear becoming reality, e.g., keep 6 months of living expenses saved. Repair. If the worst-case scenario occurs, how can you fix or bounce back from it? E.g., return to a 9-to-5 job, lean on savings while job hunting. By systematically confronting your fears, you not only demystify them, but also discover actionable strategies to manage them. This exercise can transform paralyzing dread into manageable challenges. Chapter 6. Standing Tall in the Face of Adversity. Adversity is a crucible that tests our resilience, courage, and will to persevere. History is replete with individuals who faced seemingly insurmountable obstacles, yet found the strength to keep going. Stories of people who demonstrated remarkable bravery. 1. Harriet Tubman, leading others to freedom. Harriet Tubman's name has become synonymous with courage under the most perilous circumstances. Born into slavery in the early 19th century, Tubman escaped from bondage at the age of 27. Yet her personal quest for freedom did not end with her own liberation. She returned to the South multiple times to guide more than 70 enslaved people to freedom through the Underground Railroad. Risking everything, Tubman's work was fraught with danger. She faced the constant threat of capture, which could have led to torture or death. Despite this, she famously declared she had a right to 2 things, liberty or death. Her bravery underpinned her willingness to risk her life repeatedly. Guided by a moral compass, Tubman's faith and unwavering belief in the righteousness of her cause gave her extraordinary resolve. This spiritual conviction, combined with sharp strategic thinking, allowed her to outmaneuver bounty hunters and hostile terrain. A legacy of empowerment. Tubman's story highlights how one determined individual can liberate not only themselves but also countless others. Her bravery reshaped the national conversation about slavery and remains a beacon of hope in the fight against injustice. 2. Sir Ernest Shackleton, leading through crisis. In 1914, Sir Ernest Shackleton embarked on the Imperial Transantarctic Expedition with the goal of crossing Antarctica via the South Pole. Before the journey could truly begin, his ship, the Endurance, became trapped in pack ice and was eventually crushed. Stranded on the ice with no quick route to safety, Shackleton took charge under desperate conditions. Steadfast leadership. Shackleton managed to keep all 27 of his men alive for nearly 2 years in the Antarctic. Despite unimaginable hardships, frigid temperatures, scarce food, and crushing isolation, his leadership never wavered. He set strict routines for rationing, morale-building activities, and physical exercise to maintain the crew's health and cohesion. Relentless resourcefulness. Shackleton and a small team braved a treacherous open-boat journey across the stormy Southern Ocean to seek rescue. His adaptability, repurposing materials, navigating by the stars, and motivating his crew proved pivotal in their survival. Impact on modern leadership. Shackleton's expedition is studied in business schools and leadership programs worldwide. His bravery and ingenuity demonstrate how perseverance and empathy can keep a team united in the harshest conditions on Earth. 3. Malala Yousafzai, champion of education. Born in Pakistan's Swat Valley, Malala Yousafzai was only a young teenager when the Taliban tried to silence her activism for girls' education. She survived an assassination attempt in 2012 when a gunman boarded her school bus and shot her in the head. Rather than withdrawing from public life, she used this traumatic event as a rallying cry for educational rights. Confronting fear head-on. Despite facing death threats, Malala continued to speak out. Through interviews, speeches at the United Nations, and her book, I Am Malala, she refused to let intimidation overshadow her message of equality. Global inspiration. Malala's example shows that bravery is not confined to physical feats. It also encompasses moral and intellectual courage. She became the youngest ever Nobel Peace Prize laureate at just 17, demonstrating that passion and steadfastness can resonate across the globe. Empowerment through education. Malala's story underscores how personal tragedy can be a catalyst for global change. Her advocacy work has directly influenced educational policies and inspired countless people to champion children's rights. 4. Dr. Paul Farmer. Healing the world's most vulnerable. While not always a household name, Dr. Paul Farmer's contributions to global health display extraordinary bravery in an often overlooked domain. Farmer co-founded Partners in Health, a nonprofit providing medical care to some of the most impoverished regions worldwide, including rural Haiti. Fearless commitment. Working in areas ravaged by disease, poverty, and political instability requires a unique kind of perseverance. Farmer faced threats from local militias, dangerous travel conditions, and personal health risks. Challenging systems. Beyond treating individual patients, Farmer sought to dismantle inequitable healthcare systems. His work proved that top-tier medical care could be brought to remote areas, contradicting cynics who dismiss such efforts as impossible. Enduring legacy. By placing compassion at the forefront of his practice, Dr. Farmer's life demonstrates how courage can manifest in the form of persistent dedication rather than a single dramatic event. Developing grit and determination to face challenges. Remarkable acts of bravery don't happen in a vacuum. They often stem from a foundational attribute known as grit, the capacity to push forward in pursuit of long-term goals, regardless of setbacks, failures, or slow progress. Coupled with determination, grit acts as the engine driving sustained effort through hardships. In this section, we'll explore how you can foster these qualities in your own life, preparing yourself to stand tall when adversity strikes. 1. Understanding grit. Angela Duckworth, a psychologist and researcher at the University of Pennsylvania, popularized the term grit to describe the blend of passion and perseverance that predicts long-term achievement. While talent and intelligence matter, Duckworth's research suggests that grit may be an even stronger predictor of success in fields ranging from sports to business to academia. 2. Cultivating a growth mindset. Central to developing grit is the growth mindset, a term coined by psychologist Carol Dweck. People with a fixed mindset believe that abilities like intelligence are static. Those with a growth mindset view abilities as malleable. They can be developed through practice and perseverance. 3. Setting meaningful goals. Grit is easier to summon when you're working towards something that resonates with your core values or piques your curiosity. 4. Developing a resilient mindset. To stand tall in the face of adversity, practice seeing hardships as temporary and surmountable. 5. The importance of consistency. Grit is not forged overnight. It blossoms through consistent, repeated efforts. We often underestimate the power of incremental progress, daily habits that, over time, yield significant transformation. Chapter 7. Inspiring others through your courage. Bravery is not only about transforming your own life, it also has a powerful impact on the people around you. When you choose to confront your fears, step outside your comfort zone, and remain steadfast in adversity, you become a living demonstration of what's possible for others. The ripple effect of bravery. How your actions impact others. 1. Bravery as contagious energy. Human beings are wired for social connection. We pick up on one another's emotions, attitudes, and behaviors through mechanisms such as mirror neurons, the same parts of our brain that light up when we observe someone else's experience. Thus, When you exhibit bravery, you're not just making a personal choice. You're radiating an energetic wave that can nudge observers toward their own acts of courage. 2. Building a culture of support and confidence. When you dare to take bold steps, the people around you often feel more freedom to do the same. Courageous communities, whether they're families, teams, or social groups, often share certain characteristics. Mutual encouragement. The group's default response shifts from skepticism to support. Instead of, "Are you sure that's safe?" the conversation becomes, "How can we help you succeed?" Open dialogue. Individuals within the group feel safer discussing fears and doubts. This open exchange can generate more innovative ideas and problem-solving because people are less afraid of judgment. Collective resilience. When adversity strikes, a culture steeped in bravery band together, leveraging each other's strengths rather than scattering in self-preservation. They see challenges as collective hurdles rather than isolated burdens. 3. Reframing failure for those who witness you. Many people are paralyzed by the fear of failure, believing it's a final verdict on their abilities. By embracing your own missteps and persevering, you demonstrate a crucial truth. Failure is not the end. It's a stepping stone toward growth. Becoming a role model of courage and confidence. Being an example of bravery isn't about wearing a cape or living without fear. Rather, it's about approaching life's challenges with consistency, authenticity, and a willingness to grow. When you adopt this mindset, you naturally become someone others look up to, a role model who sparks positive change in everyday contexts. This section explores practical guidelines for becoming such a figure of inspiration and guidance. 1. Embrace authenticity. The foundation of being a role model lies in authenticity. People gravitate toward leaders who are genuine, unafraid to show vulnerability, and transparent about their journey. Be real about struggles. Pretending you're above fear or failures can create a disconnect. Instead, share the difficulties you've encountered and how you overcame them. This honesty humanizes you and makes courage seem attainable. Align words with actions. Integrity is key. If you espouse the virtues of perseverance, ensure you follow through on your commitments. Contradictions between words and deeds erode trust and credibility. 2. Develop empathy and compassion. A vital aspect of impactful leadership is the ability to understand and care about the experiences of others. This empathy fosters genuine connections, making people more receptive to your influence. Listen actively. Rather than planning your next response, focus on understanding what the person is saying, emotionally and logically. Reflect back their key points to confirm you've heard them. Offer genuine encouragement. Sometimes, a simple, "I believe in you," can be transformative. Look for opportunities to recognize others' efforts, reminding them that they're not alone in their challenges. Be gentle with advice. Unsolicited advice can feel patronizing. Instead of dictating solutions, ask guiding questions. This approach empowers individuals to discover their own courage and insights. 3. Maintain a growth mindset. A role model of courage models continuous learning. You can't champion bravery if you're not willing to explore new ideas, accept feedback, and evolve over time. Adopt beginner's mind. Approach fresh experiences, like learning a new language or taking on an unfamiliar project, with curiosity rather than ego. Let others see your excitement to learn. Seek constructive criticism. Proactively invite people you trust to critique your work or strategies. Displaying openness to critiques and adapting your approach shows humility and resilience in action. Celebrate others' accomplishments. When someone else rises to a challenge, acknowledge it. This fosters an environment where everyone's progress is valued, discouraging a competitive, fear-based culture. 4. Courage in communication. Whether in boardrooms, classrooms, or family discussions, courageous communication entails honesty, respect, and the willingness to tackle tough subjects. Speak up respectfully. If you see injustice, misinformation, or a harmful group dynamic, address it. Do so constructively, attack the issue, not the person. Set boundaries. Being courageous also means knowing when to say no or voice discomfort. By enforcing respectful boundaries, you model self-respect and teach others that it's okay to guard one's well-being. Use compassionate language, replacing blame-centric phrases, "You're wrong," with empathetic statements, "I understand your viewpoint. Here's another perspective." Diffuses tension and keeps dialogue open. 5. Provide and seek mentorship. A role model's influence often crystallizes through mentorship, guiding someone through their struggles or aspirations. Formal programs. Volunteer as a mentor in your professional field or local community. Offer your experiences and lessons learned to those just starting out. Informal support. Sometimes a quick coffee or regular check-in with a friend can serve as mentorship. Listening to their challenges, offering guidance, and celebrating their wins makes a lasting impact. Stay teachable. Mentorship isn't one-directional. Remain open to learning from your mentees' fresh perspectives. This reciprocity keeps you grounded and connected. Chapter 8. Living a life of boldness and confidence. Bravery is not a static achievement. It's a way of living. Once you understand fear, build a courageous mindset, and inspire others through your actions, the next step is to anchor this boldness and confidence into your everyday life. In this chapter, we'll explore how to define your personal bravery goals, articulating what courageous living actually looks like for you, and then examine the strategies and habits necessary to maintain a brave mindset over the long haul. Defining your personal bravery goals. 1. Why set bravery goals? When most people think about goal setting, they focus on achievements like career milestones, fitness targets, or financial objectives. Bravery goals address a more profound dimension: who you want to be when facing challenges, changes, and opportunities. By setting specific bravery goals, you craft a roadmap for transforming how you approach fear and risk, ensuring that courage becomes an integral part of your daily decisions rather than an occasional spark. 2. Identifying your core values. Before defining your bravery goals, it's crucial to understand why bravery matters to you. This reflection often starts by identifying your core values, the fundamental principles that guide your life. Examples include authenticity, being true to yourself in all situations; growth, continually pushing your boundaries to learn new skills or deepen existing talents; compassion, caring for others, even when it's inconvenient or risky; innovation, challenging conventional wisdom to create fresh ideas or solutions. 3. Reflecting on past fears and triumphs. Personal bravery goals often arise from a mix of regrets, aspirations, and moments of pride. Reflect on times you've faced fear, whether it was speaking up in a meeting, relocating to a new city, or confronting a personal trauma. Also, consider moments when you wished you had shown more courage. 4. Crafting specific, actionable goals. Abstract goals like, "I want to be more confident," don't provide a roadmap. Instead, aim for SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Here are some examples. Public speaking. Within the next 6 months, I will volunteer to deliver a 10-minute presentation at least 3 times. Once at my workplace, once at a local meetup, and once at a family event. Bold conversations. I'll have a candid discussion with my manager about a long-overdue promotion within the next month. Social initiatives. I'll join a local charity group and commit to organizing one fundraising event this year to directly support a cause I value. Measure your progress. 5. Breaking down the goals. Large-scale bravery goals can feel intimidating. Combat this by deconstructing them into bite-sized steps. For instance, if your goal is to travel solo internationally for 2 weeks. Research phase. Spend a week reading travel blogs or watching videos about solo travel tips. Logistics. In the following week, start looking at affordable airfare and safe accommodation options. Safety preparations. Enroll in a traveler's insurance plan or self-defense course. Trial runs. Take a weekend trip closer to home, applying the same mindset you plan to use internationally. Dividing your bravery goal into smaller tasks ensures consistent momentum and makes the journey less overwhelming. Maintaining a brave mindset for the long term. Setting and achieving bravery goals marks a pivotal step in your personal transformation. However, It's equally important to sustain that mindset of courage over time. Life is unpredictable. New obstacles will emerge, routines might change, and motivational levels can fluctuate. 1. Evolving beyond goal completion. Once you've hit your bravery milestones, perhaps you completed that tough presentation at work or successfully negotiated a major contract, it's easy to slip back into comfort. To avoid stagnation, reflect on achievements. Take time to appreciate how far you've come. What parts of the process challenge you the most? How did you grow as a result? Set a new bar. Allow each accomplishment to serve as a stepping stone. If you overcame a fear of public speaking, consider how you might leverage that newfound confidence, maybe by hosting a workshop or podcast. Stay curious. Continually ask yourself, what fear could I face next? This question keeps you in a state of exploration rather than complacency. 2. Building resilience against setbacks. Fear and doubt don't evaporate the moment you achieve a goal. They often lurk in the background, waiting for a chance to resurface. A long-term brave mindset means anticipating these mental dips and being prepared to navigate them. 3. Sustaining motivation. Without continual motivation, even the bravest hearts can grow weary. Effective ways to keep your motivation fueled include regular check-ins. At least once a month, sit down for a self-assessment. Celebrate your progress, note any struggles, and lay out a strategy for the next few weeks. Vision boarding. Keep a visual representation of your bravery goals, photos, quotes, or symbols in a prominent place. This daily reminder can reignite your original sense of purpose. Peer support. Lean on friends, family, or mentorship circles to maintain enthusiasm. Simple acts like discussing your weekly wins or challenges can bolster morale and sharpen your focus. 4. Practicing mindfulness and emotional mastery. A sustained brave mindset depends on managing your emotional states effectively. Mindfulness techniques help you remain centered, especially when faced with anxiety, doubt, or unexpected stressors. 5. Adapting to life's changes. Over years and decades, life circumstances shift. Family responsibilities evolve, career paths pivot, and personal interests broaden. A brave mindset must adapt to these changes. 6. Role modeling and teaching. Another powerful way to maintain a brave mindset is to teach it. Sharing your journey not only inspires others, but also solidifies your lessons. 7. Balancing courage with self-care. Courage often involves pushing your limits, but you must also respect the body's and mind's need for rest and rejuvenation. Overexerting yourself in the name of bravery can lead to burnout or diminished mental health. 8. Celebrating others' success. A long-term brave mindset isn't only about self-focused achievements. It flourishes when you shift your perspective outward and celebrate the courage of those around you. 9. Keeping perspective. In the grand scope of life, bravery is not about dramatic stunts or constant challenges. It's about consistently choosing growth over stagnation, integrity over complacency, and compassion over apathy. Keeping this perspective prevents you from equating courage with ceaseless hustle or dramatic feats. 10. Embracing continuous evolution. At its core, a brave mindset is a dynamic mindset. Change is the only constant, and maintaining courage requires you to embrace growth. Conclusion. Your brave new life. You've taken a deep dive into understanding, cultivating, and living a life of courage and confidence, exploring everything from the psychology of fear to the impact of bold leadership on those around you. At this point, it's time to step back and see the big picture, reflecting on the transformation courage brings. 1. The subtle yet profound changes. Adopting a courageous mindset rarely feels like flipping a switch. The transformation is often gradual, marked by small steps that accumulate into a major shift. Perhaps you notice increased self-belief. What once seemed intimidating now looks like a manageable challenge. You catch yourself thinking, I can handle this, instead of I'm not good enough. Greater emotional resilience. Disappointments or criticisms don't cut as deeply. You might still feel the sting, but it's tempered by an underlying faith in your ability to recover and adapt. Wider horizons. You begin noticing opportunities, professional, social, or creative, that never appeared on your radar before. Courage opens your eyes to the possibilities that fear once concealed. Over time, these subtle changes become second nature. Where you once hesitated, you now move forward with curiosity and intention. Where you once remained silent, you now speak up with conviction and empathy. This evolving sense of self isn't just an internal experience. It influences every aspect of your life, from close relationships to career paths. 2. Rewriting your internal script. A hallmark of this transformation is the new narrative you tell yourself. The once dominant voices of doubt and self-criticism soften, making space for affirming language and goal-oriented thinking. You might catch phrases like, "I'm learning," "I'm capable," or "I'm ready to try," rolling off your tongue in situations where fear used to hold you back. 3. The ripple effect on others. Your transformation doesn't unfold in a vacuum. As you develop greater bravery and boldness, the people around you feel its impact. Stronger relationships. Authentic communication blossoms when you show you're willing to face discomfort, apologize, or stand firm on your principles. This establishes deeper trust and emotional safety in friendships, family bonds, and professional networks. Inspiring example. Even small acts, like speaking up in a meeting or admitting a mistake openly, can spark courage in those who witness them. Over time, your consistent demonstration of bravery can seed a culture of openness and self-belief among peers or team members. Encouragement for collective goals. Being a steady presence during uncertainty, offering clarity, empathy, and well-considered risk-taking, rallies others to pursue shared ambitions. Your bravery gives them permission to dream bigger and aim higher. In this way, your transformation gains momentum beyond your personal sphere, benefiting everyone in your orbit. 4. A new sense of purpose. As fear recedes and confidence grows, you may find yourself wondering what to do with this newfound energy. For many, the natural impulse is to pursue higher purposes. Whether launching a business that aligns with their values, volunteering for a cause they deeply believe in, or mentoring others who lack guidance. A roadmap for ongoing bravery and bold living. Having reflected on the changes that a courage-centered life can bring, you might wonder, how do I sustain this momentum? In this section, we'll lay out a practical, step-by-step roadmap to help you keep refining your boldness and confidence over the long term. Think of it as your personal compass, a set of guiding principles and actionable steps that ensure bravery remains woven into your daily life. 1. Keep setting stretch goals. One of the most powerful ways to maintain courage is to continuously push your boundaries. This doesn't mean you should be in a perpetual state of high stress. Rather, aim for tasks and projects that nudge you just beyond your comfort zone. Periodic self-assessment. Every few months, evaluate the goals you've accomplished. Are they still challenging, or have they become routine? If the latter, consider aiming for a slightly bigger challenge that aligns with your evolving aspirations. Diverse challenges. Balance different types of bravery. If you've tackled professional fears for a while, switch focus to personal growth areas like creative expression or building deeper relationships. 2. Strengthen emotional and mental resilience. Bravery isn't just about bold action. It's sustained by emotional resilience. The stronger your emotional health, the more consistently you can show up with courage in any domain. Mindfulness practices, regular meditation, journaling, or reflective prayer can ground you, helping you observe anxious thoughts without immediately acting on them. Therapeutic support. If you hit a rough patch, perhaps from unexpected life events, consider short-term counseling or therapy. Professional guidance can recalibrate your emotional toolbox. Physical well-being. Movement, adequate sleep, and balanced nutrition improve mental clarity and stress resilience. A healthy body fuels a healthy mindset, essential for tackling fear. 3. Cultivate a circle of accountability. No matter how determined you are, having trusted allies who hold you to your goals and reflect your strengths back to you can turbocharge your progress. Mentorship. Seek a mentor who embodies the level of courage and expertise you admire. Their feedback, stories of their own stumbles, and encouragement can prevent you from stagnating. Peer groups. Join or form a mastermind group where each member commits to specific bravery goals. Regular check-ins foster mutual support and challenge everyone to stay daring. Social accountability. Publicly sharing milestones on social media or within a community forum can keep you motivated. The external validation and encouragement can be a potent antidote to procrastination and self-doubt. 4. Embrace lifelong learning. Bold living thrives on curiosity and learning. As you expand your knowledge and skills, you also expand your capacity for facing new frontiers without intimidation. Explore new fields. Whether it's coding, public speaking, painting, or a foreign language, diving into a novel skill set keeps your mind agile. Attend workshops/conferences. Regularly exposing yourself to new ideas, industries, and communities can spark fresh angles for bravery. Consume inspiring content. Books, podcasts, documentaries. Seek material that broadens your worldview and showcases stories of individuals who overcame daunting odds. These narratives reaffirm that bravery is universally attainable. 5. Develop an iterative approach to failure. In a life guided by boldness, failure becomes a recurring companion. However, what once felt like an endpoint now serves as feedback for iteration. Quick recovery. Rather than brooding over a failed attempt, dissect what went awry and what could be tweaked. This transforms mistakes into swift learning loops. Emotion check-ins. Failure can still sting. Take a moment to feel the disappointment, but then channel that emotional energy into constructive problem-solving. Celebrate attempts. Honor the fact that you tried. Sometimes the victory lies not in the outcome, but in mustering the courage to act.